everybody. Hope y'all are having a good one. So we're finally to a point that I've been waiting on for quite a while now. We're finally able to start actually upgrading and really digging into this Capra four-wheel steer. Now that Trucks with Cups National League tournament is over with, I can actually start changing things on here, permanent changes. So pretty excited about that. It's been a long while. I basically haven't done anything major with this since I got it almost a year ago now. So first and foremost, the biggest thing that this truck needed was a new motor. I have been running a Hobbywing Fusion SE 1200, and this past late winter, early spring, when I made these particular tires here, it started getting hot running the 2.2s, and I accidentally got it very hot a couple times, and that motor has been slowly declining ever since. So not that it changes much in the looks department or performance department, but I now have a 1800 Fusion SE, so huge win. Like I said, doesn't make much of a difference here because I had already changed out the transmission. Running a Stealth X in there at the moment, so it is still super slow overall top speed, but with the 1800 it's a little bit faster, so I can actually walk behind this thing at a full walking pace and not trip over it. So big plus. The next thing is kind of a stepping stone, I guess. I wasn't planning on running these shocks in particular, but they actually came with the TRX4 High Trail that I got a couple weeks ago. So I figure I may as well pivot and we'll get these things to work. So I was planning on stretching the wheelbase, and I was going to go to a longer shock anyways. These are a little bit longer than what I was planning on, but I think it'll work out. So these are 110 millimeter Desert Lizards. Yeah, way bigger than what I was planning on, but I've got them set up in probably like a 90% droop situation. The reason I think this is going to work out is, which is kind of why I'm testing today, I want to see how they're going to do with the factory mounting positions, because those are going to change. So the ride height is only going to get lower, and the shocks are going to end up being laid down more, so the suspension is going to end up getting softer. I already had to remove the little piece of the cage. You can see where I cut it there, and it goes down to the bottom corner of the cab there. I had to cut that out to clear the shock body, because once it starts articulating, it was actually binding up pretty bad, which you can see how much rigidity that took away from the cage itself. But that's not going to be an issue, because I'm going to hack off everything behind the cab, and I'm going to make my own rear end for this thing. That was already a plan. so I'll be able to put the shocks wherever I want. And then the front is gonna get chopped up a little bit as well, I think. We'll see what happens when I stretch the wheelbase. The front will move forward a little bit, but most of the stretch is gonna come from the rear. So something else that's gonna happen, hasn't happened yet, but it's right up there at the top of my list, is I'm going to address the foam or lack of foam in these cut and shut tires that I made here. They work fantastic, but as you can see, they are bagged out bad. There's a good bit of empty space in there, but because I did my own cut and shut on these 2.2 ruptures and shortened them, yet they're still full width, can't exactly go out and just buy a foam for them. So I've got to cobble something together. Nevertheless, that's what's going on as of right now. Lots more on the way, but I wanted to come out here and run it with the new motor and see how these shocks are going to act in the position that they're currently in. This will be the most stood up straight that they will ever be, so everything should settle down from here on out. But because of the springs that came with them and how I got it set up, I just wanted to see how it was gonna act as is. I didn't get everything with these shocks. One pair was on the truck when I got it. The other pair was still in the box, brand new. So I'm missing half of the potential springs that I should have, half of the ball ends, half of everything except for the shocks themselves. So I kind of had to get a little funky with the spring rate split between the two. I've got different springs in the front than I do the rear. I tried to get them as close as I could, but since I didn't have two pair of everything, just kind of had to make it work. So that's pretty much it. I'm just out here testing things out and see how it's going, and then I will know where I need to kind of go from here. But should be on the up and up. This thing has always done very well, but I'm looking to take it on up to the next level. I feel like I want to keep the front 2/3 of this cage though, since I've already got another 4-wheel steer, Capra axle, flat rail with a Lex hand body. Kind of feel like I need to keep at least most of the cage on this one, so we're kind of going to build around that. But enough jack jawing. I'm gonna flip the switch, throw this thing back at the rocks, and we'll see how much more articulation I've got and see how much stability I lost, and then we'll go from there. I can already tell that there's a good bit more articulation here. Obviously, longer shocks, but really trying to ride that line of articulation and stability. This especially with the bigger tires. And even though we're in a heavy droop situation with these particular shocks, it still sits up higher. These shock bodies are almost as tall as the shocks that I was running at ride height, which was completely bottomed out. So definitely different, but that's kind of what I'm after here. Gotta do some experimentation to figure something out differently. If I get this thing working the way I want and the way I think I can, it'll be a very unassuming truck, especially with these tires on it. People see this thing with these tires and you know, it looks like a damn monster truck, so you don't expect it to do the greatest. I definitely like catching people off guard. I'm really hoping that this all works out. Something else that I'm shooting for is to get this thing set up the right way, hopefully, or at least close enough to the right way to where I don't have to put my bungee cords to act as limiting straps. All the other crawlers that I really try to get good performance out of, I always end up using bungee cords, which I don't have a problem with because they absolutely work. But I've also never really done a whole lot in the way of tuning with different springs and spring rates either. I've always just kind of messed around with the shock oil weight and then just use limiting straps to keep everything sucked down. But we're trying a whole lot of new and a whole lot of different on this one. This tire is one of the worst about this spot. So in between those two chunks of asphalt right there, especially with this tire and the way that it's really bagged out and has a lot of airspace in it, when it gets in between those two chunks of asphalt, it'll actually catch on both of them and flip you over backwards. You see it's pinched on both of them at the same time. Some of the smaller, like 475s and whatnot, they'll get caught in there if you hit it just right, but most of them still have enough wiggle room that you can power through it. But not these ones. Luckily they grab hard enough you can go to the top side of it. I'm still just absolutely impressed with these tires and the performance of them in comparison to their full stock height. See, when I got these tires brand new, I tried several times to get them to work out well. I figured they're ruptures, you know. The 1.9s do so well, I figured the 2.2s would also. But it didn't matter what I did, what inserts I put in them, nothing. I could not get them to work well for me on any of my rigs. I ended up with the second full set of them. Tried the same with those, no luck. So figured, since I had 2 sets and they're not working for me anyways, cut some sections out of them and see if making them a little shorter helps at all. And absolutely helped. So front end is actually dropping out a good bit, so it's taking all the weight off of the front tires, so it's not wanting to grab here, which isn't terribly surprising. I've got heavier springs in there than what I probably should have, but for how it's gonna end up being once I stretch it out and start chopping on the cage and putting the shocks in different locations, I wanted the heavier springs in there because I'm essentially going to be lowering the spring rate once I start laying the shocks down further. But in this particular configuration, it's not wanting to cooperate on the vertical section. But that's not the end of the world. Like I said, I'm in the middle of making big changes anyways, so I wasn't hoping or expecting this thing to come out here and be perfect by any means. Even if I did have it set up correctly for how it is right now, I would have to change it once I stretched everything out and laid the shocks down anyways. Definitely keeping the front end very light, that's for sure. That right there is why I run limiting straps on everything. I really don't like tearing into shocks. Definitely not the funnest thing in the world to do. But if it acts like this once I get everything stretched out and set up how I want it, then I'm gonna have to tear back into these shocks and get something figured out, because it should make this little climb right here no problem at all. Not an issue with just a tiny little extra bit of wheel speed, but it should be able to slow crawl that whole thing once I get done with it. Let's see how bad the rear end kicks up and bucks on the descent. Not bad. I thought for sure it was gonna stink bug and flip over forwards, but still actually got some stability here. Ooh, all these leaves and loose gravel definitely makes it a challenge to make that turn there. Damn critter holes. They got a freaking mansion right here. Got, I don't even know how many entrances. There's another couple holes up on top on the other side of the little electric reel bridge up there. I've seen everything. Groundhogs, possums, and skunks. And all kinds of critters live in there. So I know that the front end drops out hard at the moment, so I don't know if it's gonna be able to walk straight up this line here, but even if it doesn't, this is also a good spot to test out your side hill kind of capabilities. Yeah, that front end is so light, it's not grabbing on anything. Those shocks are completely tapped out. Oh, lost the line. Slid down too far. Damn. That is, that's a whole lot of body roll. Let's see. Try to get that straight with the axle. The rear axle, anyways. Front axle is sitting about like yay. That's a good bit of articulation slash body roll right there. Kind of surprised all four tires are sitting on the ground. I'm sure it'll cut out and roll here pretty quick. This is pretty well maxed out, but that's pretty wild. Never had anywhere near that amount of articulation. Come on now, get back up there. There you go. Get it, get it. Don't lose it. Slow and steady. There it is, walk it. Yeah. Holy crap. Trying not to get too carried away here, because any extra amount of throttle, or if I straighten the steering up and that front end is just going to wash out and slide down the hill. Gotta get that back tire to hook first. Stay on it. Stay on it. No. Damn it. I think I lost it. Really test out the stability here. Ooh, yeah, it stood straight up. I tried to crab over. Not too shabby. It held on a lot longer than I thought it was going to when I first started. Man. She's a lot more stable than what it looks like. Pretty surprising and a good sign, because once I get this thing set up more properly, it should be quite the beast. Yep, there was that lift in the rear. Well, let's just try something crazy. Okay, maybe just crazy for what it used to be able to do. Like it's nothing. Okay. Let's see if it can make this little transition here. Try to walk that front passenger side tire, use the inside of the sidewall up over that rounded piece of concrete. Oh yeah, the skid used to get hung up right there real bad, and then it would just flip over and fall off the side. That extra articulation there, that did the trick. That's awesome. Wow. It's never done it that easy before. And that little line there doesn't look like much, but that one's pretty rough. Man. I mean, I know it's kind of self-explanatory. Longer shocks, more droop, more suspension travel. But, my goodness. These things are dropping down and reaching all kinds of things. I don't have much hope for this one because the front end is getting so light on the vertical sections, but I've got to try it anyways, just for shits and giggles. Yeah, this is actually a pretty heavy rig, and it's driving like a lightweight. We'll be back. Man, just cannot believe the articulation this thing's got now. That's pretty crazy. I was planning. Alright, well, I had to go delete some stuff on the phone. I ran out of storage. Don't exactly remember what I was talking about, but we're gonna call it for the day. I've seen what I needed to see. I think I'm in pretty good shape. Oh, was in pretty good shape. Too much articulation. Apparently, spit out a drive shaft. Not a problem. Pop that back in. So, I guess we will actually call it right there for the day. Definitely happy with the motor, and I'm pretty excited to see where this thing goes. I'm going to be getting into uncharted territories a little bit, but it's exciting. Been waiting a long time to really dig into this thing. So, anyways, thank you all for watching. Hope you have a good one, and we'll catch you in the next one. Later.